It's no fun when our kids are sick, but we may just have found the silver lining. Apple and raspberry and orange flavoured electrolyte slushies made by Rehydrate.
Rehydrate slushies are a tasty way to get essential electrolytes into our little ones when they're dehydrated from sickness or even just the Aussie heat. They're delicious and they'll help your little ones feel better in no time. Grab Rehydrate from Coles today. I made Kylie breakfast in bed, chopped up a fruit salad with fresh everything.
You're so good to me.
Yogurt, nuts,
So good.
drizzled honey over the top of it. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be the morning that I talk about in the podcast where I say, I just got this so right. It's the Happy Families podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. Hello, my name's Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm here with my wife and co-host, Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie Coulson. We've got 6 kids, 6 daughters, and I'm the author of 6 books about raising happy families. Today, we've decided to try a brand new feature, a new segment for the podcast, and I've got to confess, it requires a little bit of exposure, a little bit of vulnerability on our part. And it's based on an idea from a book that we have fallen in love with over the years. We were given the book maybe 20 years ago after we had our first child, 21 years ago, I guess. And the book is called I'll Do Better Tomorrow.
It's a great book. It was actually given to me when I was in childcare, and it's about a little boy and all of the wonderfully mischievous things that he gets up to through the day. And as the day progresses, he loses his mouse, he fills the bathtub up and forgets to turn the water off. Floods the house. His mum's had enough, so she tells him to go and find something quiet to do, so he cuts all his little sister's curls off.
Shaves the dog.
He just had a really, really bad day. And so as he went to bed that night, his mum came in to tuck him in and kiss him goodnight. And he's really scared. So he pretends he's asleep, closes his eyes and just lays there as still as he can. And his mum, thinking that he's asleep, she kneels down beside his bed, gives him a little kiss on the cheek, and then starts to say a prayer. And as she opens up the prayer, she starts to cry, and she starts to list one by one all of the misdemeanors that this little kid's done all day. And his heart is just so heavy. He's feeling really, really sad for what he's done. And he's just about to jump in and apologise to his mum when he hears her say, God, please forgive me for all of the things that I did wrong today, for the way I interacted with my son and got angry at him, and help me to be a better person tomorrow.
I love that idea, and I can't read it without crying. You can't read it without crying. It just it gets us every time. So we've decided that we're going to let you know that sometimes we need to do better tomorrow as well, because if we do, we're pretty sure you do as well. I had a bit of a day earlier.
Well, I actually had this awesome experience. I was all planned to tell you all. It was an awesome one.
Well, actually,
you know what?
The idea of this segment was supposed to be that one of us would tell an experience where we totally got it right, and then the other one tell an experience where we totally got it wrong, just to sort of highlight that we all have our good days and our bad days.
We had it all planned,
and then
we had
whatever day it was. What was it, like Tuesday or Wednesday or something happened?
The lousiest day ever.
It was pretty rough. So the short version is that the morning went like this. I woke up early. Now, we were exhausted because our Year 12 daughter had her formal the night before, which meant that we got home from picking her up extremely late, probably 2 or 3 hours after our bedtime. I woke up and left Kylie in bed because I had work to do and it was 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want to disturb her and lay there and do nothing. So I came down to the office and got started on stuff, and then went upstairs at 7:30 and
I was still asleep.
Yeah, Kylie just decided not to get out of bed at all. Absolutely crashed out. So I made Kylie breakfast in bed, chopped up a fruit salad with fresh everything.
You're so good to me.
Yogurt, nuts,
so good.
Drizzled honey over the top of it. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be the morning that I talk about in the podcast where I say, I just got this so right. In fact, I was feeling so confident that I said to the kids, get yourselves organised. We'll ride to school today. So in the car, it's about 3 minutes. On the bike, because there's a couple of hills and it's a bit tricky, it's probably about 20 minutes on the bike.
Well, you've got Emily. She's only 6. She's still learning.
So she's just a little baby, really. And so I don't know what happened, but I gave Kylie breakfast in bed, and Kylie just kind of never came out of the bedroom, never surfaced, which is probably a bit unfair. I expected her to shovel her breakfast in 2 minutes and then come out and help me get the kids going, and it didn't happen.
I needed to have a shower.
Yeah, and I'm just out there thinking, I'm doing it all on my own. I've made a breakfast in bed, for goodness sakes. What's going on? You
kind of lost it at that point, didn't you?
I didn't have a good morning. And while I don't think that I was necessarily cruel or unkind to anyone, I got a bit shouty. I turned into shouty dad. I pretty much forgot to do all the stuff that I talk about in my seminars.
Well, in the process of having done all of those amazing things, kind of undid it because it left me feeling guilty.
And left the kids feeling lousy. I really did a bad job. And then, of course, you left in a bad mood taking the kids to school, and I went back to the office so that I could figure out how to help other people make their families happy. Thinking, gosh, I'm in a cranky
I wish
mood.
it ended there, though.
Oh, you want to talk about the afternoon
but it
too?
Didn't, did
good
it?
One. Okay.
It didn't.
So the afternoon, in a nutshell.
We had a tradie arrive 10 minutes before I was supposed to walk out the door. That blew out, obviously. You stayed with him. I left, took the kids to swimming. Swimming went fine.
Yeah, but then we got this, one of the kids forgot her music lesson, and the music lesson's a long way away, and you had to get back to get her there, but there was no way she was going to make it. She should have missed the lesson. And so all of a sudden I'm driving her to you and swapping cars and things, and I've got to get back to the office because
dinner's not made.
Oh, there was no dinner. You're right. And I had a webinar to run. And now I've got all these little kids. You're out with the big kids.
And I wasn't going to be home until well after you started.
And it was horrendous. And then somehow we still pulled it off. I did the webinar. You got home. Everyone had an acceptable dinner. And I came up after the webinar and I was actually feeling really good. But we had some visitors, unexpected drop-ins. And I just got busy. There was a little bit of dinner left for me, not nearly enough. So that put me in a bad mood.
Well, see, I'd been trying to practice what I've been reading in book club about being where your feet are.
Yeah, so you're being present for the guests.
So I was trying to be really present with the guests because they were sitting at the dining table. So instead of being at the kitchen bench, cleaning up and doing all the things that I would normally do, I felt really needing to be right there present with them. They needed my attention and time.
So I had this tiny little bit of dinner. Because everyone ate all the rest of it. I just had this tiny bit of dinner. And then I'm like, oh, well, I might as well clean and pack up. And so I did. And I felt very noble doing it. And I did it willingly. I wasn't in a bad mood until they left and you went to bed and looked at your screen and didn't even say thanks to me. And I was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding. And I kind of wasn't at my best again. I just had a bad day, really, didn't I?
You did. Really has been a lousy week, hasn't
been a really
it?
tough week. So what's the point? Why are we telling you all of this big sob story about how hard family life is and how we get it wrong? I guess there's probably a couple of take-home messages that we really want to share as we focus on this idea of doing better tomorrow.
Well, be where your feet are. That was the first one, and that would have helped in so many situations.
Well, are you blaming me? You're saying I wasn't
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Me. I'd done the right thing with our visitors, but then once they'd left, I kind of felt like I could kind of just relax and I didn't need to be where my feet were with you because we just are. But it would have made such a difference to our relationship had I have just tapped in with you.
Yeah, instead of taking me for granted.
Yes.
Yeah. But the other thing is overscheduling.
Well, the morning, even though I wasn't involved in the morning, had you have not added the complication and pressure of a bike ride into the equation.
Which didn't end up happening.
It didn't.
But that's what set me off.
That's exactly right, because you had this grand plan. You wanted to experience this, opportunity with the kids, which was great. It was a great idea.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't executed.
Do you remember that story about the washing machine?
No.
So in the early days of our marriage, I think we had one, maybe two kids, and you were pregnant with one of the kids, and so I got into the laundry and decided that I would. You remember? I decided I was going to be really helpful, and so I sorted the whites from the darks, and then I loaded all the darks into the machine, and I just crammed everything in because there was a lot of washing there. I turned on the machine, it did the cycle, and when I pulled the darks out, it was dirtier than it had been when I loaded the machine up and put it on. And so I started thumbing through the Harvey Norman catalogue so that I could work out, we need a new washing machine. I wonder how much one's going to be. And you asked, why am I doing it? And my response was, have a look at the washing. It's filthy. And the problem was not that the washing machine wasn't working. It was that I tried to cram
about 2 loads of washing into one load.
I tried to cram too much in. And I think in some ways, just reflecting on it, we're kind of at that point with our family again. We're trying to cram too much in. And you get a lousy result. You get a substandard result if you try to cram too much in.
We know going to bed at an appropriate time makes a big difference. And sometimes, obviously, with family life, it doesn't always happen. But having a good routine and getting enough hours sleep is a really important start.
And if you're going to go to bed late, make sure that you know what you're doing in the next morning. Be prepped.
Be prepped,
because one of the golden rules of making mornings magic is that your morning starts the night before. So we knew we were going to be up late, but we did nothing to prepare the house or the kids or breakfast or lunch or anything like that the night before for the next day. And it all just went terrible. And then I tried to cram too much in, and we weren't intentional. We were actually not sufficiently intentional. And you know the other thing? I know that not everybody has the advantage of being in a team, but you've got to be a team, right?
Yeah.
So the moral of the story?
I'll do better tomorrow.
Oh, we are going to do so much better tomorrow and next week. So we hope that this disclosure hasn't turned into too much of a blur. Instead, we hope that it's given you some inspiration for how you can do better tomorrow if your mornings or afternoons or evenings are a little bit like some of ours were this week. Hopefully, we'll have some more positive stories to tell next week.
I've already got one.
Oh, good. Well, no, it doesn't count. You can't carry one over from this week to no. We've got to have a good week next week.
Okay. All right.
We hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you're planning on doing better tomorrow, remember, it's the weekend. So have a super Saturday and a sensational Sunday. Make sure that you spend that time with the kids. If you do enjoy the podcast, if you wouldn't mind visiting Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a rating, preferably a 5-star rating and a review. It's those reviews that help people to find the podcast and have happier families. And I've got to also mention, if screens are an issue for you, can you please join me on Monday night? We've got a webinar, Tweens, Teens and Screens. It's a webinar for parents and their kids about getting screen time right. You can get all the information on my Facebook page or at happyfamilies.com.au in the webinar shop. That's Tweens, Teens and Screens. Oh, and if you're a Happy Families member, it's included in your membership. You don't even have to pay for it because it's part of the membership. If you'd like to know how you can become a Happy Families member and make your family flourish, visit happyfamilies.com.au, click on memberships. Family's getting bigger and happier every day. Or you can go to my Facebook page, Dr. Justin Coulson's Happy Families. Bye.
Bye.